Dear students, let us begin the second part of the lesson, in which you will learn about the type 1 and type 2 errors. Type 1 error, rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. It is called type 1 error. It is also called true null hypothesis will be rejected. Then type 2 error, accepting the null hypothesis when it is false. That is nothing but false hypothesis will be accepted, is called type 2 error. Example of understanding type 1, type 2 errors. Then first one, I am right and I was tested right. This is nothing but accepting null hypothesis H naught when H naught is right. I am wrong and I was tested right. This is an example for type 2 error. Then this is nothing but accepting H naught when H naught is wrong. Then I am right and I was tested wrong. This is an example for type 1 error. Then it is nothing but rejecting null hypothesis H naught when it is right. Then last one, I am wrong and I was tested wrong. The rejecting null hypothesis H naught when it is wrong. This is a good example for types of errors. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis is the first step in the scientific process, is not an observation, but the generation of a hypothesis which may then be tested critically by observations and experiments. The sole purpose of a hypothesis is to predict your paper's findings, data and conclusion. Types of hypothesis are displayed here. There are different types of hypothesis: null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, complex hypothesis, simple hypothesis, statistical hypothesis and empirical hypothesis. Null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is a statement assuming no significant difference or relationship between variables in the population. It is either rejected or failed to be rejected based on the evidence from the sample data. Alternative hypothesis H1. The alternative hypothesis is a statement suggesting there is a significant difference or relationship between the variables in the population. They are also contrary to the null hypothesis. Types of errors. The probability of making a type 1 error is a significant level, it is called alpha, while the probability of making a type 2 errors is beta. These risks can be minimized through careful planning. Example, let us see an example. Suppose you decided to get tested for COVID-19 based on mild symptoms. There are two errors that could potentially occur: type 1 error, type 2 error. Type 1 error is also called false positive. The test result says you have a coronavirus, but you actually do not have. Type 2 error, it is also called false negative. The test result says you do not have a coronavirus, but you actually do. Error in statistical decision making. If the p value of your test is lower than the significant level alpha, it means that the results are statistically significant and consistent with the alternative hypothesis. If your p value is higher than the significant level alpha, then the result ought to be considered statistically non-significant. Errors happens only when we do this in reciprocal. Example, you test whether a new drug intervention can improve symptoms of an autoimmune disease. The null hypothesis H naught is that the new drug has no effect on symptoms of the disease. The alternative hypothesis H1 is that the drug is effective for improving symptoms of the disease. A type 1 error happens when you get false positive results. You conclude that the drug intervention improved symptoms when it actually did not. These improvements could have arisen from other random factors or measurement errors. In this table, there are two different types of errors are shown. Rejecting a null hypothesis when it is true, it is called type 1 error. Rejecting a null hypothesis when it is false, it is called 1 minus beta, it is a correct decision. The not rejected hypothesis H naught when it is true, it is also called 1 minus alpha, it is also a correct decision. The not rejected H naught when it is false, it is termed as a type 2 error, it is denoted as a beta. A type 2 error happens when you get false negative results. You conclude that the drug invention did not improve symptoms when it actually did. Your study may have missed key indicators of improvements or attributed any improvements to other factor instead. The same explanation given the earlier. Probability of corrects versus errors. In this table, when rejecting a null hypothesis H naught, when it is true, it is called type 1 error alpha. Accepting a null hypothesis when it is false, it is called probability of type 2 error. Then accepting null hypothesis when it is true, it is called confidence coefficient 1 minus alpha. Then rejecting a null hypothesis when it is false, it is also a power of the test 1 minus beta. The probability of type 1 error, or it is also called level of significance, it is also called size of critical region alpha. The example for probability of type 1 error, the chance of leaving the accused when he or she committed crime. The probability of type 2 error, it is called beta. The example is the chance of punishing the accused when he or she is innocent. We can see the examples for power of the test and confidence coefficient. The chance of punishing the culprit is an example for power of the test 1 minus beta. It is nothing but rejecting a null hypothesis when it is false. Then the example for confidence coefficient is the chance of leaving the innocent is nothing but 1 minus alpha, that is accepting null hypothesis when it is true. So, these are the two examples for power of the test and confidence coefficient. We can discuss elaborately about power of the test and confidence coefficient in the following part. Let us summarize what we have learned in this video. We have discussed elaborately about different types of errors, and also we defined power of the test and confidence coefficient with suitable examples. I hope you understood all the concepts in this video. We will continue in the next video. Thank you.